Most men want to build muscle and lose fat. And in this video, I'm going to explain why most men over 50 fail to do this and what you can do to fix this for yourself. So, number one, training intensity. Most people just do not train hard enough, but this is essential for building muscle, especially as you reach the age of 50. So how hard are you actually training? How hard are you actually pushing yourself in each set? Maybe you're afraid of hurting yourself if you push yourself too hard, or maybe you actually think you are training hard enough. Well, this is how to fix your training intensity. So you need to be within 1 to 2 reps of failure on your sets. So ideally an 8 or 9 out of 10 difficulty, even a 10, that's how your sets should feel. Right, so you're really pushing yourself. So your muscles are more resistant to growth as you get older. But when you get into your 50s and so on, you're going to need to increase intensity to trigger the response that you need to actually encourage the muscle to grow. I'd encourage trying to get to failure on your last set, if it's safe to do so. So if you're doing a bench press with a barbell, make sure you're inside a rack so you can use the safety bars, or same with the squat. Basically any exercise where you'll get squished if you can't lift the weight. If you haven't got access to that, don't go to failure, not a good idea. You can get away with it with dumbbells and I guess any kind of isolation exercise. But if it's your main compound exercise with the barbell, it's a pushing exercise, yeah, you want to make sure you use the safety bars. And on top of that, you must be aiming for progressive overload. No point in just doing the same thing over and over and over again. You must be trying to increase the reps and increase the weight over time. If you can't, but you're trying, that's okay. And because you're training at a higher intensity level, you're going to need more recovery time. So pick a routine that you can stick to fairly consistently, but you gotta let your body heal. Okay, so you could train every other day or 2 days on, 1 day off, but your rest, your recovery is very important. Now I'm sure some of you will already have some pre-existing injuries, as I have a few myself. So you probably need to experiment with different exercises and different variations to see what suits you best. And don't worry about whether you think it's an inferior exercise. If that's what you need to do to train hard, then that's the right exercise or variation for you. If you are worried about injuring yourself, and this is a legitimate concern, there are a few things you can do to reduce the risk of injury. Number one, make sure you warm up. Okay, just do 4 or 5 minute warm up. It should be nice and easy, a 2 or 3 out of 10, no more than that. You shouldn't be sweating after a warm up. All you're trying to do is increase your core temperature. Secondly, make sure you stretch after your workouts. A little bit before is okay, a little bit of dynamic stretching maybe, 10 seconds static stretching, but the bulk of your stretching should be done after your workouts, not before. You can reduce the range of motion in your working sets. I'd stick to full range of motion whilst you're warming up with your warm-up sets if you can, but your joints are under the most tension when they're fully flexed and fully extended. And make sure you practice good technique, have good posture. I see a lot of people with their knees fully extended when standing up doing bicep curls or shoulder press. For example, you want to make sure you've got a slight bend in your knees, shoulders back, neutral spine, feet hips apart. That's your basic posture when you're standing up. Okay, don't ego lift. Make sure you can use a weight that you can comfortably control on the concentric phase and also on the eccentric phase. So which brings us on to the next reason, recovery, and more specifically, protein intake. When you get in your 50s, your body's less efficient at utilizing protein for building muscle. So you'll need to consume more protein. Now, I'm not one of these overly protein obsessed people. You gotta have a protein shake, protein bar, protein pizza, protein coffee, protein. But resistance training and protein consumption are the main triggers for muscle protein synthesis. So this is just the repairing of your muscles and the building of your muscles. And the idea is that your muscle protein synthesis exceeds your muscle protein breakdown, so you end up with a positive protein balance. And this happens a few times a day, so you want to try and maximize this phase to maximize your muscle growth. Okay, so a minimum of 0.7 grams per pound of body weight, or 1.5 grams per kilogram of body weight. So if you're 200 pounds or 90 kilos, you want a minimum of 140 grams of protein. Meat, fish, eggs, cottage cheese, nuts, stuff like that. Include protein in every meal. Try and have at least 4 meals a day. Remember, protein triggers muscle protein synthesis. So you're trying to give yourself the best chance of building as much muscle as possible. Okay, eating 2 meals a day is okay, but eating 4, 5 or 6 is even better. Now the third reason why most men over 50 fail to recomposition their body is because their calories just aren't dialed in. Put simply, if you're in a calorie surplus, you're going to be gaining fat every single time, and you'll continue gaining fat as long as you're in a calorie surplus. You'll build muscle, but you'll also be gaining fat. But that alone isn't body recomposition. The idea is to lose fat at the same time. So it doesn't matter if you're some kind of super athlete burning 6,000 calories a day. If you're consuming 6,200, you're putting weight on. So when it comes to building muscle and losing fat at the same time, which is what we're trying to do here, okay, you've got to be more strict, more calculating with your calories and your nutrition. Because like I said, if you're going over every week, you're going to gain weight. If you go under by too much, you're going to lose muscle. So the ideal calorie deficit you want to be in is around 250 calories, which will be about half a pound of fat loss per week. It's going to vary from person to person, but this is a good starting point. So if you're losing half a pound a week, but you feel like you're getting stronger, okay, you feel good, that's pretty much perfect. Okay, if you're not losing weight, just drop your calories a little bit more, 100, 200 per day, and then weigh yourself again. And if you're still not losing weight, just drop them again. Just keep going until you're losing about half a pound a week. Okay, that's your target. Try and eliminate things that you're not too bothered about. Okay, I wouldn't make a start on your favourite things. If you need to cut them down a little bit, fine, but don't give them up. Don't give up your favourite things because you won't stick with it. Protein and carbohydrates have the same amount of calories per gram, which is 4, but protein has a much higher thermic effect than carbs and fat. Okay, so that's basically the amount of energy your body needs to break down the food. So potentially up to 30% of the calories that you consume with protein are used up, basically storing it, breaking it down, stuff like that. So compared to say carbohydrates, which is about 10 to 15%, I think, and fat's about 5%. So as long as your kidneys are in pretty good condition, it makes sense to swap out some of your carbohydrate calories for protein, because energy-wise, they both basically do the same thing. If you've got a lot of body fat you want to get rid of, you can have a higher calorie deficit, maybe 500 a day, lose about a pound a week. The more body fat you have, the more you can get away with because of all that lovely stored energy. Now, one thing you want to bear in mind, as your body weight drops, your calorie needs will drop. Okay, your BMI drops, that's your basal metabolic rate, the minimum amount of calories you need to survive. So just sitting on your ass, doing nothing basically. So keep an eye on that. If you find that your weight loss has stopped, you might need to reduce your calories a bit more, or if it's slowed right down, same kind of thing. So if you manage to build 3 pounds of muscle in 1 year and lose 9 pounds of fat, in theory, your calories should stay the same. A pound of muscle burns 3 times as many calories as a pound of fat at rest. This is pretty much an ideal body recomposition, consuming the same amount of calories, but just dropping the fat and building muscle. It's not always going to work out like that, but it's just an example. Now, a really good way of testing your overall strength and muscle building progression is a farmer's walk or farmer's carry. You're basically using all the muscles in your body to do this, okay? All the muscles in your legs, your back, shoulders, arms, your traps, your core. So make sure you use good form of these and try and aim to work up towards 25% of your body weight in each hand. Okay, so 50% of your body weight overall. And you can do 3 sets of these, walk for a minute. And if you can do that, you're doing great. And if you can do more, just do more. Remember, progressive overload. And if you're struggling with the grip, don't worry, I have a video here that you can watch. It goes through some grip strength tips and how it relates to your overall health. Thanks a lot for watching. Goodbye.